Hi and welcome back to Maths and Physics with Mr. Simons. We make maths and physics simple and we get you exam ready. Right, today's lesson, classwork, financial maths, grade 11. We're looking at what we refer to as straight line depreciation. So for grade 11, we're going to work with two types of depreciation, straight line and reducing balance method. Right. Now I'm focusing on straight line depreciation. We're going to look what it means, and now we use the equation for straight line depreciation to work out what's the depreciated value of something, how long it would take to depreciate to a certain value, or at what percentage rate it decreases, right? One of the three questions is generally asked in the exam, right? So, calculating rate of depreciation. So, straight line depreciation, we would use the equation A equal to P 1 minus I times N, or F equal to P 1 minus I times N. Alright, where A stands for accrued value or F stands for future value. P, my present value, I is my interest rate, and N is my time period. Alright, now very important, because I don't know what English or what words your teacher would use to explain this to you, but straight line depreciation is also referred to as a simple decay or constant percentage method. Alright, so I'm going to now do one problem, first problem, and as I said, I'm going to go through the variations of these problems just to show you how to work with it. Should have an idea from what you've done in grade 8 and 9 and basically 10 with financial maths and simple interest. Right, so straight line depreciation is when something depreciates using the simple interest formula, but it has a minus sign and not a plus sign. Right, a computer costing 5,000 Rand is depreciated at 10% per annum. On the straight line method, straight line depreciation, what's the value after 4 years? So because they said straight line, I'm going to use A equal to P 1 minus I times N. Right, now my present value, presently my computer is what, 5,000 Rand. The interest rate is 10%. We should know that percentage means 10 over 100. So 10 over 100 becomes 0,1. The time period here is given as 4 years, so N equal to 4. And we want to know the value after 4 years. So A equal to P 1 minus I times N, because they said straight line method. P is 5,000. I is 0,1 and N equal 4. So 1 minus 0,4 would give me 0,6 times 5,000. Right, and my value I would get, if you punch that all in a calculator, 3,000. So after 4 years, my computer would be worth 3,000, which is a bit far-fetched. I think computers depreciate closer to like 50%, if not at 100% per year. The amount of changes we have in hardware and software taking place. Technology is advancing very quickly. Right, let's look at the second problem. A printer costing 10,800 is depreciated using simple decay at 25% per annum. So when I say simple decay, I still mean straight line depreciation, right? So what is the value after 3 years? So again, my printer costs 10,800 currently. Interest is 25% per annum, so my interest 25 over 100, which is 0,25, and the period is 3. Again, they want A, so A equal P 1 minus I times N, because they said simple decay, right? So my interest 0,25, N 3, and P is 10,800. 1 minus 0,75 gives me 0,25, which is a quarter of that. A quarter of that, after 3 years, my printer is only worth 2,700. Right? Now, let's go look at different problems. Now, the same printer, if it's costing 10,800, it's depreciated using simple decay at 25% per annum. After how many years is it half its original value? So now we want to solve for N, knowing that it would be half its value. So if it's currently 10,800, half of that is 5,900. So A is 5,009, P is 10,800. Interest 25% per annum, so that means 25 divided by 100, which gives me 0.25, and n is the unknown. So we have A equal P 1 minus I times n, where P is 10,800, I is 0.25, and n. Alright? 5,900, that's 8 times that bracket. So to get rid of 10,800, I have to get rid of multiplication. I'm using division. So 5,900 divided by 10,800 equal 1 minus 0.25n. So that there would give me 0.5 equal 1 minus 0.25n. If I take 0.25 across, the negative becomes positive. And positive 0.5 would become negative 0.5. So n equal, there's 0.5 divided by 0.25, which gives me 2 years. So at 25% per annum, after 2 years, my printer is worth half its original value. Hope that makes sense. So this is how we would use, so we can ask you to calculate n, right, using straight line. Right, for grade 11, we don't test calculation of n using a reducing balance method, but we'll get there. But for grade 12, we do. Right, so next problem. A Mercedes C350 bought for 600,000 Rand depreciates to 200,000 after 5 years. What is the percentages depreciation on the straight line method? That should read what is the percentage depreciation on the straight line method. So very important, they said straight line method, right? So P, currently the car is worth 600,000. 5 years time, the future value of it is 200,000, or crude value A if you want to, 200,000. N equal 5, and we want to know what I is, right? So F equal to P, 1 minus I times N, where now my future value is 200,000 and my present value is 600,000. 1 minus I, and my time period is 5. So first, that's 600,000 times the bracket. So to get rid of multiplication, I'm always going to use division. So that's 200,000 divided by 600,000 equal 1 minus 5i. So instead of writing I times 5, I just write 5i. It means the same thing. So that becomes 2 over 6, which is 1 over 3, which is 0.3333 going on all the way. 1 minus 5i. Negative 5i, if I take it across, become positive 5i. There I'm left with 1 minus 0.3333 going on, which again gives me 0.666666. I just rounded off the last value to 7. So to get I, I'm first going to divide by 5. That's 5 times I. So to get rid of multiplication, I'm going to use division. 0.667 divided by 5, which then gives me I equal to 0.1333. But we need the rate of depreciation. So therefore, not as a decimal. So to get rid of the decimals, I'm going to multiply by 100 to get to the rate. So if I multiply by 100, I'm technically moving the comma 2 spaces, 1, 2, and therefore it becomes 13.33%. All right. So this Mercedes-Benz depreciated at 13.33% over the 5-year period. Right. And for those of you that don't know, just a little extra information. If you're in the concept of buying and selling cars from auctions, etc., we have a small book that roughly gives us various percentages and can work out from there how much the car would depreciate and what its value would still be after a certain period of time. Right? But continue practicing, work hard, put in the effort, you will reap the rewards. God bless. Bye.